I had always believed family came first. That was how I was raised. That was what I held on to, even when it felt like I was standing alone in a room full of people who shared my name. My name is Nadia. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, then you'll understand the story. Before we go further, take a second to like this video, drop a comment if you've ever been overlooked, and subscribe. You're not alone. When my younger sister, Amara, got engaged, I was happy for her. Truly. I smiled, hugged her, and told her she deserved the best. But something felt off. She hadn't told me beforehand. Everyone else seemed to know. Still, I ignored that feeling. Families aren't perfect, I told myself. Maybe it was just excitement. I didn't know then that this moment was the beginning of something I would never forget. Growing up, our family looked perfect from the outside. Big house, clean smiles, holiday photos that looked like magazine covers. But inside, things were different. Amara was the golden child. She was charming, outgoing, and always knew what to say. People loved her instantly. Me? I was quiet, focused. I worked hard. I didn't know how to perform for attention. My mother used to call me the serious one. She said it like a joke, but I always heard the truth behind it. Still, I showed up. Birthdays, dinners, family events. I brought gifts. I helped. I stayed present. I thought love meant consistency. I thought it counted. Looking back now, I realized something important. In my family, love wasn't free. It came with conditions, and I had been paying for it my whole life. The engagement dinner was supposed to be special. We were all seated around the table when Amara stood up, smiling brighter than I had ever seen her. She showed us the ring. Everyone cheered. My father clapped loudly. My mother looked like she might cry from happiness. I smiled too, but inside I was surprised. She hadn't told me anything. Nadia, aren't you excited? My mother asked. I am, I said quickly. Congratulations, Amara. She hugged me, warm and perfect, just like always. Then she whispered, You'll help me plan, right? You have such good taste. That sentence stayed with me. For the first time in a long while, I felt included, important, needed. That night, I went home and started planning ideas immediately. I didn't know I was the only one who thought I was part of it. The next few days told a different story. Every time I shared an idea, I got the same response. Oh, we've already chosen that. Or, we have a planner handling everything. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then the silence started. My messages in the family group chat went unread. Photos were shared, dress fittings, venue visits, cake tastings. I wasn't in any of them. I told myself they were just busy, but deep down I could feel it. That quiet distance. That slow removal. It wasn't loud. It wasn't obvious. But it was happening. And I could feel myself being pushed out, piece by piece. Weeks passed, and the wedding became everything. Every call from my mother was about it. The flowers, the venue, the guest list. But never once did she say, You should come. That silence felt heavier than words. I kept trying. I sent ideas for music, lighting, decorations. Each time, she replied politely. Thanks, honey, but it's already sorted. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. Soft. Dismissive. Final. One night, I scrolled through family photos online. Amara, trying on dresses. My parents smiling beside her. Everyone looked complete. Except something was missing. Me. The truth hit me in the strangest way. A coworker asked casually, When are you flying out for the wedding? My heart skipped. What flight? I asked. She looked confused. The wedding, it's in Greece, right? Greece. My dream place. I had talked about it for years. That evening, I checked the mailbox. Empty. I called my mother. Mom, I didn't get an invitation. There was a pause. Then her calm voice. The guest list is tight, Nadia. I didn't speak. She continued. It's better this way. Better for who? I wanted to ask, but I didn't. Okay, I said quietly. She thanked me for being mature. That word didn't feel like a compliment. It felt like a dismissal. A week before the wedding, I went home. The house was alive. laughter, dresses, decorations. But when I walked in, everything shifted. Too quiet, too careful. My mother pulled me aside. "Please don't be upset," she said. "Upset?" I replied. "You're pretending I don't exist." She sighed. "You'd ruin the atmosphere." I froze. "You're too serious. It's Amara's day." That was the moment something inside me broke. Not loudly, not visibly, but completely. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just nodded and walked away. That night, I sat alone on my balcony. The city lights blurred in the distance. My phone kept buzzing. Photos from the wedding trip. Smiles. Champagne. Happiness. I didn't react. I didn't comment. I didn't exist in any of it. For the first time, I didn't feel pain. I felt empty. Then something changed. A calm settled over me. If they didn't need me, maybe I didn't need them either. That thought didn't scare me. It freed me. The wedding photos flooded social media 2 days later. Amara looked perfect. My parents looked proud. Everyone looked complete. Again, I wasn't there. My best friend, Zainab, called me. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," I said. I wasn't. But I wasn't broken either. Something inside me had shifted. I wasn't chasing their approval anymore. I was done being the quiet shadow. If they could erase me so easily, then I could rewrite my story. That night I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I had a plan. The next week, I went back to work like nothing had happened. People asked questions. "Why weren't you at your sister's wedding?" I laughed it off. "Work commitments." They nodded, but I saw the pity in their eyes. It stung. But I didn't show it. On my way home, I kept thinking, my family loved appearances, perfection, spectacle. If that was their language, then I would speak it, but better. That weekend, I met Zainab for brunch. I told her everything. She listened quietly. Then she leaned back and said, "They don't deserve you." I smiled faintly. "Maybe not." She tilted her head. "So, what are you going to do?" I paused. "Reinvent." She grinned. "I like that." That word stayed with me. Reinvent. Not revenge. Not anger. Something stronger. That night, I wrote one sentence in my planner. My life. My rules. My fiancé, Daniel, noticed the change immediately. "You've been quiet," he said. "I've been thinking about our wedding." He smiled. "I'm listening." "I don't want small," I said. "I want something unforgettable." He raised an eyebrow. "You want to shock them?" "No," I replied. "I want to redefine everything." He nodded slowly. "I'm in." That was all I needed. For the first time, I wasn't asking for approval. I was building something of my own. We started planning immediately. Quietly. No posts. No announcements. No hints. Only a few close friends knew. Behind the scenes, everything was moving fast. I found a stunning coastal venue. Daniel handled logistics. I reached out to old contacts, designers, event planners, media teams, people who respected my work. Not because I was family, but because I had earned it. For the first time, I felt seen. My background in marketing became my advantage. I knew how to create attention. I just had never used it for myself. Until now. I contacted a global event planner, a PR team, a designer brand. They all responded quickly. They remembered me, not as the quiet daughter, but as Nadia, the professional. That mattered. No conditions. No expectations. Just respect. That night, I realized something powerful. I didn't need my family to validate me. I never did. 3 months later, everything was in motion. Still, I stayed silent online. My family had no idea. They thought I was still recovering. Still hurt. Still small. My mother sent messages sometimes. "You'll find happiness soon." I smiled when I read them. If only she knew. We set the wedding date. 2 months after Amara's. Not out of spite, but purpose. Everything was ready. And soon, the world would see. The invitations were the first sign that this was no ordinary wedding. Each one was handcrafted, sealed with gold, and delivered quietly. Inside was a simple message. A celebration of truth and love. Nothing more. No names. No details. Only a private link to RSVP. I sent them out to a carefully selected group. Friends. Clients. Creators. People who valued presence, not performance. Zainab stared at the list and laughed softly. Nadia, this is big. I smiled. It's meant to be. This wasn't about impressing people. It was about creating something real. Something no one could ignore. And still, my family knew nothing. They were living in their version of reality, while I was building mine. One evening, while reviewing the plans, an idea came to me. What if this wasn't just a wedding? What if it meant something more? I reached out to a children's charity I had supported quietly for years. We spoke for hours. By the end of the call, everything changed. The wedding would be live-streamed. Viewers could donate. Every contribution would go toward education for children who needed it most. When I told Daniel, he didn't hesitate. That's powerful, he said. It's you. For the first time, I felt something deeper than excitement. Purpose. This wasn't just about being seen anymore. It was about making something meaningful out of everything I had been through. The dress was the next step. I flew out quietly to meet the designer. She listened as I explained everything. Not just the wedding. My story. My silence. My transformation. A week later, she sent the sketches. Soft silk. Ocean tones. Pearls placed like stars across the fabric. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. When I tried it on, I stood still for a long time. I barely recognized myself. Not because I looked different, but because I felt different. For the first time in my life, I saw someone who had chosen herself. The world started noticing before my family did. It began with a small post. A fashion blogger mentioned a mystery coastal bride. Then another platform picked it up. Within days, people were talking, speculating, guessing. Brands started reaching out, offering collaborations, sponsorships, features. I accepted some, ignored others. Everything had to align with the message. Authentic, intentional, purposeful. Daniel laughed one night. You've become a secret celebrity. I smiled. Let's keep it that way. The mystery made it stronger. And still, my family had no idea. Weeks passed. The excitement grew quietly. Online, people followed the story. Offline, my family remained unaware. My mother sent another message. Hope you're not still upset. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to explain. Instead, I focused on final details. Guest confirmations. Streaming setup. Charity coordination. Everything had to be perfect. Not for show, but for impact. As I stood by the ocean one evening, watching the waves move endlessly, I whispered something to myself. They removed me from their story. I paused. But this time, I'm writing my own. The day arrived. The sky was clear. The ocean shimmered under the morning light. Guests began to arrive from different parts of the world. Elegant, excited, curious. I stood alone in a quiet room, looking out at the water. My heart was steady, not racing, not nervous, just calm. Daniel walked in and smiled. Ready? I nodded. More than ever. Cameras were set. The live stream was ready. The title appeared across platforms. A celebration for change. At that exact moment, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. Dinner tomorrow? I smiled slightly and replied, You might be busy tonight. The ceremony began softly. Music filled the air. Guests sat quietly, taking it all in. Then I stepped forward. The moment the cameras focused, everything changed. Within seconds, the internet reacted. It's Nadia. Posts spread rapidly. Comments flooded in. The story unfolded in real time. The sister, who was left out, now at the center of something global. Daniel squeezed my hand. The world is watching. I looked ahead. Let them. I walked forward with peace. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just clarity. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. After the vows, I turned toward the audience. And the cameras. This is more than a wedding, I said. It's a chance to give back. The screen behind us lit up. The donation link appeared. Within minutes, it began. Messages, support, contributions. The numbers rose quickly. Daniel looked at me, amazed. This is bigger than we imagined. I smiled. That was always the plan. My phone started buzzing again. This time, non-stop. My mother, my sister, missed calls, messages. What is this? Why didn't you tell us? I read them quietly, then put my phone away. This moment belonged to me. By the next morning, everything had changed. The wedding was everywhere. News platforms, social media, conversations across the world. Headlines called it powerful, meaningful, unforgettable. The donations passed 2 million. I sat quietly, reading through the messages. People shared their own stories, their pain, their healing. That's when I understood. This wasn't just my story anymore. It had become something bigger. My phone rang again. This time, I answered. Nadia, my mother's voice trembled. You embarrassed us. I took a breath. No, I said calmly. I lived my life. There was silence. Then I added, you chose to leave me out. A week later, everything settled. The noise faded, but the impact remained. My mother posted a public apology. My sister called, her voice softer than I had ever heard it. You changed everything, she said. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. There was nothing left to prove. Months later, I hosted a small dinner. Quiet. Simple. Zainab smiled across the table. You didn't destroy them. I nodded. I didn't need to. That night, I walked alone by the ocean. The waves erased every footprint behind me. For the first time, I felt completely free. If this story meant something to you, take a moment to drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe. Because sometimes, the greatest power isn't in being seen. It's in finally choosing yourself.